today, Coach, tonight?
And he's playing, like I said yesterday, Paul's there for security in case somebody's sick today at the last second or gets injured and warm up, but right now he's the extra guy. 12-6, that can turn in at any moment 11-7 because we're using wides in both positions.
I'm not sure what I should ask, but your deep pairings, where are you going to put guys today?
Well, if the last two games, we ended up most of the time with Dion playing with Oduya. So we got that again, and Clayson playing with Eric. And basically Moore was replacing Harper that was playing with Cease. But Eric plays everywhere, and PK, power play, and you go what you need.
This last year's Game 7
No.
play any factor whatsoever?
No. If we were back then, I'd say it's important, but we're here now. New teams, new situation, regular season. There's nothing there.
You talked about maybe using Weidman again as a
Yeah.
forward. When you make a switch like that, do you have to talk to the player and
Yes.
sort of walk it? And I don't know how much you care,
If you-
but how resistant would a player be to?
Depends on the player. Depends on the individual. Depends on their on the level of comfort with whatever you're asking them to do. So in the middle of a game, you know, there's all kinds of stuff that happens. Sometimes you lose 2-3 guys in the game, and guys understand that. Well, okay, this is emergency measure. In this situation, it's not an emergency one. It's two reasons. One is because Wides has done really well as a forward. Last game, we couldn't find one single mistake that he made, and we can use him as a defenseman at any moment, which we did last game. So we did both because we were basically going 11-7, but we knew on a back-to-back I like to go with 4 lines when I can, because the guys that you're getting the most ice time to, your top guys like Stone and all that, on a back-to-back, at some point, especially in the third period, you need to give them a breather a little bit, and having the possibility of having 12 forwards helps that. But you don't want bodies in your lineup. You want guys that are able bodies, and that's what Whites gave us last game. But he really surprised me how good he was. So now, seeing how good he was, I want to see how much we can use him in that position. Two, Smitty's not there, and Smitty logged a lot of PK time. And then Weidman being a defenseman, defending better than any forward really, gives us a possibility to try him as a forward on the penalty kill and take what Smitty was doing. But when you're going back and forth all the time, defenseman and forward, at some point you kind of get caught in between. I've lived that before. So right now, I'd rather tell him he's a forward, and once in a while we can use him on D. But right now, be a forward, help us on a penalty kill, and help us on that line. And unless a defenseman gets injured or he's not playing well at all, then we'll keep him as a forward for today. Because I want to see, especially it's Pittsburgh too, I want to see how far we can go with that trial, if you like. It's what we need, but it's because he's done well. That's why he's there.
As the game evolves, do you think we might see more of this, a player that can do?
Oh, well, I've had this in the past as a coach, and I've also lived it as a player, having that on my teams. We had remember at McGill, we had a captain that was that. He'd play some games as a forward, play some games as a D, and it helps you so much, because whatever you need, you've got. But it's very rare that you can do it. And that's why right now, it's maybe a possibility, and we'll see. If it's not, it's not. It won't be a Weidman's fault. It'll just be, is that a tool that we can have in our toolbox? If it's not, it's not. But I've seen a lot weirder things than that happen. But when you take a defenseman and put him forward, the greatest majority of the time, the one thing you can be sure about is that they defend well. And so right there, you've taken away the American League or mistakes of the guys that are coming up, and you've got that stability with a guy that knows our system, hears the same message every day since day one, since last year. So you kind of take away a lot of the mistakes that a young guy will make coming up. And then the rest, offensively, we'll see. One thing's for sure, if you play like he practiced yesterday, and he was filling the net. So that's where we'll see what he can give us. But definitely, I'm not scared to do it. We just did it the game before. It's the opposite. I'm actually excited to see it again.
Coach, in what ways do Matt Duchene and Bobby Ryan kind of complement each other that you hope they can chemistry?
Well, this is the theory on the board right now, and I'd love it to work because if it worked, you could definitely say that we could have 2 first lines. And when you look at the top teams in the league, the teams that win, that's what they've got. And we're trying to reproduce that, but they haven't played a game yet together, so I have no clue if they fit. The thing that makes me think that it could be possible, but is it going to be like 1 period or 2 periods, or is it going to take 2-3 games? I don't know. Is that they're both really good down low, and when you've got a guy, a high-end player that's good down low, you need 2 of them at least on one line. If you got 3, that's great, but you need 2 guys that are low at what I call deep work. And Brassard and Stone are both really good at it, and that's why they click together, is they complement each other, whoever that guy is with them. And that's why I haven't touched that pair, because they've done that deep work so well. And Duchene is outstanding at the deep work, and Bobby Ryan is great at the deep work also. So right now, that combination of those 2 guys on paper, in theory, is something that we would like to see, and hopefully it works. If it works, you got 2 first lines, regardless of who they play against. We know that Hoff clicks with Brass. We don't know yet how much it will be if he play with Duchene and Bobby, but we also know how well it clicks with Pyatt and Pager. So I already know that Hoff I can use on 2 different lines now, and I know it works. So, like I said, this next month for Duchene to figure out where things fit and who he clicks with is going to take some time.
Why does Stone look like a kind of a guy on a mission here?
I just think he's one of those guys that cares a lot. I think last year was a real progression in the player, but also the man. And from that, the next step is the leadership part. I think he's had a taste also of being so close to getting the Stanley Cup playoffs, like the other guys too. And guys who've got character, they don't sit on that. It's the opposite. Like, yeah, they smell blood. They want more. Brassard, the same thing. So I think the 2 of them combined together, they've definitely been since day one on a mission. And for me, they're deserving every day what they're getting. It's actually very impressive. It's every practice, it's every meeting, it's every extremely focused. They want more, and when we talk about attitude, like deserving, we define it as attitude, work ethic, and discipline. But it starts with attitude, and attitude for us, it doesn't mean you're a nice guy or not, or it means you want more. You represent wanting more every day, and that's what he has since day one. And to me, it's really a progression from being a player, to being a pro last year, I think, to now being a leader. And not everybody can do that, but he's definitely done it.
Some people can't handle
No.
those activities.
Oh God, very few people can. Period. And very often, I'll hear, "Oh, this guy's a leader," and this guy's and it's not true. Just because he's a high-end scorer, or he's 33 years old and he's won a cup, and then we think these guys are leaders, when most of the time they're absolutely not. Very few guys are leaders because they need to have those 3 things: attitude, work ethic, and discipline. And that's why it's those high-end players that are leaders. They make their teams win. They become winners. Their teams become winning, and they have a winning environment because of it. And whether it's Chicago for years, and Boston had it too, and Detroit had it for years, it starts with those guys. And we saw Eric make that step last year, and I think we're seeing definitely Stone make that step this year. So that's where his growth is for sure, and definitely we're all benefiting from it. And he's been very consistent at it, and he's really hungry every day.